everybody? Spegtacular, the Silver Stacular, here with SalivateMetal for the metals experience. A little guitar riff for you right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Hello,
whoa.
everybody.
Sal, always a pleasure. We haven't done one of these in a while, but listen, silver and gold, especially gold, have been doing some really interesting things, and I think it's good to talk about it and to get, different opinions and thoughts, and to really just kind of, bring us together in a way so that the audience can also use some of this information to build off of their opinion, and doing their own research is important too. But it's good to know what other people are thinking. So, real quick. Sal, big congratulations to you. You're really approaching the 100,000 mark on the channel. So, that's awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's a slow roll, but I'll take every subscriber, and I appreciate even more those who have stuck with me all these years, including you. Thank you, sir.
Of course. I mean, you're one of the OGs, and I think that you give out so much good information and it's sound advice for a sound money that you're one of the ones that people should follow for sure. So make sure you're following Salivate Metal, and I'll put information in the description so you can easily do that and give him some love for sure. But Sal, gold, big news. What are your thoughts on gold being over $3,000 an ounce?
Yeah. $3,300 an ounce. It's
Isn't that
crazy.
crazy?
I mean, we had, as we're recording this video, gold went up literally over $110 today total. In fact, in overnight trading, it's up another $9. So it's trading right now at an all-time high of $3,353.70 as I speak to you right now. It's insane in the membrane. And a lot of this is, according to major media sources, it's all about uncertainty with the tariffs. I think that is playing a role, but I think there's probably more to it than that. Some speculate that this is all orchestrated, and all of that gold that has come in from London, Switzerland, and other places that has come into the COMEX vaults in New York is staying there. And there's some institutional buying that's going on. Some people feel that this gold very well could be going into the coffers of the newly formed sovereign wealth fund that will be established within a year by executive order by Donald Trump. So I don't know if that's the case. That's all speculation. However, one thing is for sure, we have reached, I think 20, if I remember, I did a video about this just moments ago. And from what I remember, it was like 20 some times it's reached an all-time high between last year and this year, 20 some times. So this is something different than what we saw in 1980 and in 2011. This is absolutely mind-blowing what's happening right now.
So I've stopped mentioning like, hey, gold's at an all-time high. I stopped doing those videos because I'm going to do one every single week. Like
Right. I know. Yeah, I tell you about it. And I joke about that as well. I am not above doing that because I just think it's a, I mean, at least for me, considering the amount of content I do, might as well just capture the moment, even though it's kind of boring. It's like, okay, another all-time high. Okay, another all-time high. But I certainly understand where you're coming from, because it is a lot of repetition in some ways, and a lot of the same reasons behind it, much like what we saw for the reasons for gold and silver going crazy in 2020 and the event that occurred there. So, but nonetheless, it really is. It's unprecedented, I think, for gold at this point.
Well, now I know that you are a collector, and if you watch Sal's channel, you know that he likes to get like the collectible gold from the U.S. Mint each and every year, right, Sal?
Yes, yes, and I did a video fairly recently about spending the most of buying the most expensive coin the U.S. Mint has ever put out, single coin at the time, and it was 38.50, and it was the proof gold eagle. I didn't have one with the a proof one with the eagle, with the new Type 2 eagle, and I also thought, well, since the gold was at an all-time high, my thinking was, is this may be somewhat of a sleeper coin if if it's too expensive for most people to buy it. That's a gamble I made, but I do enjoy. And it's not just about what it could do in the future, but I just enjoy some of the designs. And when you're a collector, sometimes price matters, no question. But the beauty of the coin and the fact that you're holding something in your hand that is somewhat limited, and there's something to it. There's just something about having something in your hand that is more than just a bullion piece, that's got some meaning behind it, and it's beautiful.
So now beyond those collectibles that you have that have a a collector's value to them, you may have some coins that are a little bit more numismatic. Is there some coins, some gold in your collection that you've been like, you know what? With gold being so high, maybe I should go ahead and sell just a little bit and diversify or do something else with it. Has that been on your mind at all with gold kind of making these super record highs?
You know, I would, if you would have asked me that when gold was trading at $2,500 or $2,600 an ounce when it was at an all time high, then I would have said no, emphatic no. Now here we are at 33.55 right now. It's going up literally by, I mean, it's up $12 now in the just brief time that we've been talking. Um, uh, I would consider it if the right circumstance came along. But it's still a no, but I'm more open minded to it right now. But one thing I would not do, Speg, is I would not sell gold to buy silver.
Trade the
Yeah.
ratio. You wouldn't do that.
I would not trade the ratio, and it's a personal decision. And I'll tell you why, because I feel like I have enough silver, stackable silver right now, and storing it is an issue. It's a problem, but so that's really kind of my thought process there. But I mean, certainly, I'm be curious to see what your thoughts are. Would you do that?
I don't mess with the ratio. And just like you said, if you look at this desk right here, this absolute chaos, I haven't had a chance to really clean up yet, but there's a lot of silver. You can see silver as far back as I can go back over here. Big chunks
Yeah.
there that I hand poured. And you can see just a little splattering of 10th ounce gold right here. That little splattering of 10th ounce gold is worth probably twice as much as all this silver right now. And
Wow.
and that's the amazing part about silver to gold, right? How expensive gold is in such a tight little package. But that being said, I might have taken some off the table, and I've done it a few times, Sal, when I'm trying to pay off the house or pay off some crazy things, or trying to maybe like get a bigger house. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid to take some off the table when it comes to the gold, but I don't sell the collectible stuff. I just sell the regular bullion stuff, silver eagles, buffaloes, the stuff that really it's only ever going to be worth whatever the metal price is. So, I mean, that's me. I mean, I plan on keeping most of my stack for like retirement, maybe even some generational wealth for sure, since I've got, I don't know, enough kids to make a band right now. But
Right.
yeah, I'm not against taking some off the table. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and I think that's wise. It's good to be flexible in that area. And I know other people who have done that in the community. I never fault people. One of my big mantras on the channel is hold. You buy low, hold high. And I can't take credit for that phrase. That's a member of my community, J.M. Unleash, who coined that phrase, pun fully intended there. But it is this something that I'm really kind of a hold on guy, but I certainly respect and completely am now more open minded to such a possibility that you're bringing out, especially with gold reaching going like wildfire right now. I would consider maybe doing that if the opportunity were to come. Yes, indeed. So very smart move on your part.
So I got a friend of mine in the community, and I know he's your friend too. We'll keep his name and who he is out of it. But he's got this credit card debt, and I actually talked to him on the phone today, and I'm like, listen, what are you doing? Like you have all this gold, sell a little bit and get rid of that credit card interest. Like why do that? Like, and he's stubborn on selling it, but I'm trying to, say don't sell it all. But get rid of that credit card debt. You know what I mean? What is that doing for you? Your gold stack will do much better in the long run if you get rid of all those little interest payments and debt and ugh. But Sal, here's the thing about gold, right? For the last few years, gold has been trickling up. And that's great. I like holding when it trickles up. It doesn't make me want to sell. But when it skyrockets like it's been doing and it's just going to the moon, so to speak, it makes me a little nervous for, the opposite effect. Eventually, things will come back down to reality, in my opinion. And so it's like, do I really want to get, stuck holding the bag and regretting not getting rid of some of the gold that I had when I could? I still got plenty, it's not a problem, but it's just my mindset right now, Sal.
I totally understand that, especially if you buy at the all time high. Like, if I was to buy another ounce tomorrow, and then all of a sudden it falls back down three, four, $500 within a couple of days or weeks, I'm going to feel pretty crummy that I made that mistake. However, one thing I always tell folks is that no one can really know what the market is going to do. I honestly didn't think we'd get here this year with gold. I didn't think it would get to $3,000 for a while. You hear people talk about $3,000 gold, and you think they're crazy. Yet here we are, and it's been pretty constant. So it can. And now they're talking about maybe $3,500 gold, and now $5,000 gold. So we just don't know. But what I always tell folks is, whenever you make a purchase, even if it's in the dip, and something maybe even worse than that is on the way, buying on the way down, and it continues to go down even more dramatically. You always prepare for the worst when you buy your gold and silver. And how do you prepare for the worst? By holding on to your core stack, by the way. In other words, what you're talking about is selling, opportunity selling, not selling in an emergency, but like you said, to pay down debt. Like you advised our friend to take his gold, take some of his gold, and pay down that high interest credit card. It's very smart to do. Or like you said, to pay down a house debt or something, or what have you. There's all kinds of different ways to do it. Everybody's different. Everybody's situation is different. But one thing is the same with us all, and that is that whenever you buy, always prepare every single time that the possibility that the price can fall.
Absolutely. I actually heard this really good advice today. And, for me, Sal, I can't put words into your mouth, but you're probably the same way. A lot of older people watch me, and I'd imagine for you too. It's an older crowd. And, as a person that was saying, like, hey, listen, if you're in your like 70s and your 80s and you see gold right now as an opportunity, like just now in your life, you're like, well, let me pay attention because it was in the news. If you're, to that degree of age, it might not be the right time to buy gold. And you know what I mean? Like we're getting these all-time highs. You've made it this long into your life. Do you really need to chance it on something like this right now? I thought that was some interesting advice.
That is, and we have to look at the life cycle as a stacker. We all shift and mature as stackers. And by the way, when I say that, it does not mean that somebody is that is 27 years old is not mature. But in terms of the amount they've accumulated over the years, typically people shift and change their position. Like for me, I'm stacking more gold than I am silver right now because I feel like I have enough silver. Notwithstanding, comes a point in time when we're getting ready to retire, and when we're getting ready to retire, we may not be a good time to buy at the all-time high. Might be a good time to sell and liquidate, unless you want to pass them on to the next generation. So yes, everybody's different, and you're right about older folks, and that is exactly why they should be looking at more options. Liquidation is extremely important when you get to that age.
Yeah, and I want to kind of come back to say this again in a different way. Sal and I, neither one of us are financial advisors, and so we're giving you ideas, we're giving you thoughts, right? And when we do our videos, it's not to say you should be doing this, you got to do this right now. It's to like sprinkle some ideas in your head and do with those ideas what's best for you. Do your own research, of course. And listen, if gold is a great buy for you right now in your mind with your money, that's your money. Like if it's a good time for you to sell right now in your mind with your money, hey, sell. Don't be mad at us if you make whatever choice you make because we're just giving you thoughts about what's going on right now. I'm telling you a little bit about what I'm doing. Sal tells you what he's thinking right now, and do with it what you will, basically, is what I want to say. I just want to bring that back around real quick.
Yes, that's a very good point. And there may be times where Speg and I may make some suggestions, but we always have the caveat that every person's situation is different, and I think that the best idea is just to look at common sense approaches to to investing in general in the markets, and also hedging and insurance policies essentially. And that's what gold and silver are. They're a savings vehicle. They're an insurance policy. And the best insurance policy against to protect your stack is having some of these on hand, to protect yourself as well, so that you don't have to liquidate these in a hurry in a down market. You can do strategic selling as well as strategic buying by buying on your terms, selling on your terms, buying and selling on your terms, not being forced to because of an emergency or what have you.
And that's one of the biggest heartbreaking stories that I've heard when I've been doing all this is that people like get all excited about going and buying their silver, right, or their gold. They're pumped up about it. They're like, I'm gonna finally make a good investment in my life, you know? And then they go like, ooh, car broke down. You know, it's gonna be $800, $1,000. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna sell some of that silver or gold that I just bought and probably lose out on their investment a little bit because you end up getting hit right away with premiums. You can lose out. So it's good to have that nest egg of cash as well as your precious metals when you are a stacker. That's a good point, so.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now, do you think, right? And people are talking like crazy, right? In my opinion, gold could hit a $4,500 number, and that's me like literally just throwing something out in the air based on just kind of like what I'm seeing right now. But do you see it continuing an uptrend, or do you see it coming crashing down in the next, let's say, like month?
I think it really does depend on how soon we can get this tariff situation under some level of understanding by the markets. I think that gold is going to be buoyed up by central bank buying, and the Chinese are buying a lot of it too, not just in physical form, but also in ETFs. Their ETFs over there have are record highs right now, but there's a lot of buying going on right now. And the more people that are buying across the field, not only physical, but as far as ETFs, I think we're going to continue to see go up. But I do think I'm not quite as bullish. I think probably within the next year, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 3,500. I mean, obviously, with $100 move in a given day, and now with gold trading in the after hours in Asia right now, it's up $10 more. It doesn't seem like there's much stopping it right now. But sooner or later, this has got to come to a point where it plateaus or comes back down. So that's why I'm not quite as bullish as you are.
It does seem like a runaway train for sure. But yeah, all good things come to an end. You know, Sal, listen, I don't want to be a jerk. Don't take it like this, but we saw this epic rise in rhodium, and you're one of the few people that I know that had some rhodium, right? Um,
Yes.
what happened to rhodium ultimately?
Well, I missed an opportunity on purpose to not sell it. I can't tell you how many people, when it got up to $30,000 an ounce, sell, 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 say that 5 times fast. And I'm like, nope, not selling, not selling. I was a stubborn old fool. So maybe I was the jerk because I didn't take profits, right? But I did inquire about it. I have a whole playlist on my channel about rhodium. I have one single bar, and I think if I would have bought two when it was at $700 an ounce, $700 an ounce, and I paid $1,100 for it, I would have sold one of them in profit. But it's a collector in me, Speg. It's neat to have an ounce of rhodium. It's the only other metal other than gold, silver, platinum, palladium that is traded. And you can see it over at Kitco. Kitco is one of the few places that shows the rhodium price. It trades in $25 increments and doesn't trade nearly as frequently. But yeah, I missed an opportunity, right? Thing is, if I would have sold, and I did call about it, that there's only a few places that would even buy it, and we're trading at $30,000 an ounce, or very very close to it. And the one place said, "Well, we'll give you 24 to $26,000 for it." So way back a spot, like $5,000 below spot price, is what they would have given me for it. But I kept it, and actually, I have no regrets on that. I know that's foolish, but because I just wanted an example of rhodium in my stack or my collection in this case.
No, I don't think you're foolish at all. If you like it because you like it, there's no value you can put on it that, makes sense. I've got pieces in my collection. They're like literally 1 ounce of silver, that people have offered me $2,000 for this 1 or 2 ounces of silver, these little like, poured pieces that I have. And I'm like, no, I'm good. It's because I love the piece, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna make me lose sleep to get rid of that piece. Whereas when I sold some of that gold, right, to take it off the table, just the generic stuff or the buffaloes, just the basic stuff, I lost no sleep. In fact, I didn't even think about it afterwards, other than, hey, I'm gonna go put this money in the bank, and just, do something else with it. It's not something on my mind, but collectibles can get on your mind. So I totally understand it. I was just, giving you a hard time.
No, 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 that's fine. I deserve it. I deserve it. Yeah. No, that's cool. And I think that's the collector in this, right? There are certain pieces we just enjoy. And I see from your selection there, you've got a lot of really cool looking pieces there, man. That's the one thing I admire about you is your appreciation of the collectible and the history behind the pieces that you have. It just exudes from the screen. People know that when you showcase a coin, or a piece of silver or gold, that you really enjoy it, and that is infectious. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I enjoy a lot of, I mean, that's why I buy what I buy. I don't buy it because I go like, ooh, like I don't like this, I'm gonna buy it. You got to enjoy it, right? This is my hobby. Check it. This is not a piece of silver by any means, Sal, but look at this cool piece I got just the other day.
Wow,
Isn't that nice?
that is beautiful, man. 65 plus.
Man,
Wow.
1879, 5 cent, huh?
Shield nickel. That is
Isn't that crazy?
beautiful,
I
man.
and I saw this and it was sitting there and I was like, you don't see those every day.
No, not in proof, especially in proof. That's wow.
No, and you know what? Now, like I've had so many shield nickels before, but they're always the same, right? They're always kind of worn down, beaten up a
Yeah.
little bit. I get to see this thing right here for almost how it was intended to look right from the mint. It's such a great coin. That's a completely off the record or off the topic right there, I should say.
No, and that's part of what is so amazing about coins like that, that it's just, and I've got a few, not quite to that caliber, but I've got a few in my collection with the same type of deal. Not some of the older ones, but I really appreciate some of those older coins too, and I want to get more of them. There's one that's a dream coin that I hope one day to be able to obtain, but we're far off from that right now. But so I hear you. There's an amazing story, and the detail and the history behind it. It's awesome.
Let's bring it back for 1 second. Let's talk about those tariffs because originally, when we were talking tariffs, didn't know what the heck was going on at all, right? And they were like, "Ooh, is that going to cause bullion to go up in price?" But then they said that the bullion and tariffs they're not going to affect one another. And then people were like, "But it's going to, if there's silver inside of some of these electronics, it's going to affect that." But then they just come out saying like, well, your cell phones, et cetera, that have those bullion products in there, those it won't have the tariffs. So why are we worried about tariffs and bullion right now, in your opinion?
I think, in a sense, silver, following gold in that regard. I think it's about the dollar and about the disruptions in the supply chain and economic uncertainty, not just here in the United States, but around the world. And silver is going to be buoyed up by the potential that electronics will still continue to flow into the United States without those tariffs. And that means demand for silver will remain high. And that's going to buoy up silver's price. And silver's price is up a little bit. It's almost at $33 an ounce right now. And even though the gold to silver ratio is still very high, silver is still climbing. So I think that, I think that's one of the reasons why silver is going to be climbing. In fact, I would think that if silver or electronics, if electronics we're going to be hit with tariffs, but not silver, the supply of silver or the supply of silver would probably diminish, or the demand for silver would diminish somewhat because there's not going to be the demand for those electronics because the prices are going to be higher to get them into the country.
Gotcha. All right, we're going to talk about a very sad story now, Sal. It's a heartbreaker. It's platinum. What do you
Yes.
what do you think about platinum?
Well, platinum, I tell you, and here's my little desk piece that I have. I probably have to eat crow on platinum because I've been saying for years now, since 2020, that platinum is undervalued, and anything under $1,000 platinum is a steal. And platinum has been utterly stagnant for a long time. Since at least then, it did get down to like $600-700 an ounce back then. But I do think that there are a lot of the same fundamentals are still there, and circumstances are still there with platinum. And it's such a tight market, and there's only two places where it's produced heavily: South Africa and Russia, Siberia, Russia. And any number of things could go wrong in either of those locations for different reasons that could have a dramatic impact on the price. And there's backwardation that's going on in platinum and silver as well too, and to some extent gold. That seems bullish for it, but it seems like it never materializes.
It just
So
never works out. Yeah, it's kind of
never
rough.
works out. But I'm a fan. But I always tell folks I love platinum a lot, and I do still think it's undervalued. And I've been stacking more of it this year, partly because of that. But notwithstanding, that's only what I'm doing. I don't. I If I feel something about a metal where I think it's going to go, especially for a metal like platinum or palladium or rhodium, that's a speculative play, very speculative. You know what I'm saying? And so don't follow my advice there. That's for sure. I've been wrong about it. But I still think one of these days it's going to somehow catch up with gold, but I don't know when. It seems less likely now than ever before that that's going to occur, especially with the ratio between the two metals well over 3 to 1.
Yeah, I think that with history showing us that eventually it's going to happen, right? It's just, when, what catalyst has to occur before that happens. For me personally, silver and gold is enough. I don't need to add something else to the mix. I'm dumb as a box of rocks. That's all I need in my life. Silver and gold, I can figure
And
you out.
most people feel the way you do on that. Yep.
Um, okay, some good information. We think that gold could keep on going up potentially. It just matters, what goes on in the market, obviously. Anything else, Sal?
Well, people are probably going to be wondering, well, why hasn't silver caught up yet? Why is the ratio between the two metals at a 102.16 right now? And what are your thoughts about that? Why do you think silver is so far behind gold right now?
It's interesting because I'm one of the ones that fight against the silver squeeze events that occur. And I remember, at $34 an ounce, hey, we're going to do the silver squeeze. Today's the day. And then what happened? Silver dropped down to 31, or I think it was 30 and some change, right?
Yep.
It's silver constantly gets beat down. And we know, right? We have evidence of manipulation happening with silver. So it's like, I'd rather get involved in something that is harder to manipulate. And with gold being the price it is, and being more, gold is more, it has more power, if you will, because big governments are holding on to gold. So they're not going to just stand by idly and let something get manipulated. You know what I mean? Because they're holding this stuff. I just think that the powers that be just keep on tamping down on silver. And I also think there's a lot of it, Sal. There's so much, and even during the silver squeeze events, there's never been a time where I am that I've gone into a store and they go, "Hey, sorry, no silver to sell." Never once. There's always been silver available. It's just plentiful. Meanwhile, sometimes it's hard for me to get gold. You know what I mean, locally. That has happened, and I think that gold is just harder to manipulate, and so we're seeing that rise right now, where silver can get moved down, it can get tamped down, and that's just my opinion. I mean, I could be a conspiracy theorist. What do you think?
Well, I'm more open minded now to, well, we know there's manipulation in a general sense. I'm sure you and I both have discussed what happened with the J.P. Morgan, the precious metals desk there. That's been well documented. But that manipulation can work both ways, and it's done for purely selfish gain. But I think the silver market, even though it's relatively small, it's very complex because there's over 10,000 uses for silver. I'm with you about the silver squeeze. Any kind of squeezing that's going to be done is going to be done on the industrial side, on the physical, and I think and the way that it flows in and out of the COMEX and the LBMA. But notwithstanding, I do think that the natural market is much more powerful than any suppressive force, and that's really the difference. And any kind of manipulation that's done in coordination between the big banks, which are the big culprits there, I think that is going to be temporary. There's only so much that can push it because psychology is such a massive driver with these markets in general, and gold and silver are affected by that. And so that's what I think is happening with the silver market. I think to some extent you can call two things being the biggest suppressors of silver's price. Number one, it's the Federal Reserve and what they do to try to manipulate the dollar, which has a strong impact on commodities in general. And silver is seen as a commodity, and there's this push and pull between silver as a commodity and as a precious metal. And I think that's what frustrates so many people, why it doesn't move in tandem with gold. And so we're seeing less and less of it outperforming gold because of that. And that's the one big force. The other one is the derivatives market. There are so many paper versions of silver out there. I think between 380 and 400 derivatives for every 1 ounce of silver mined year over year. And that's a manipulative factor. It's a suppressive factor where when the SLV was first formed in 2006, it was an inflation or it really pushed up the price of silver. That's what part of led to its meteoric climb in 2010, 2011. It was part of that. People got into it. People bought a lot of it. Just like with Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ETF is what helped push Bitcoin's price up. But sooner or later, it becomes a suppressive force against the entity, and in this case, silver. And so that's what I think. And I'm in the I'm in the minority on that one because most people feel that it is all manipulation and it's tamped down. But I feel the natural market. I believe there's some suppression. There's also some manipulation, but I think the natural market is a much more powerful force.
That's fair. You know, I think that when people say like, well, gold's doing this, how come silver is lagging behind? I think that also now that's kind of irrelevant, right? Because before, when gold and silver was your everyday money, there was a ratio that, 16 to 1 that we actually followed. But it's not money anymore. So why does it matter if gold is going to the roof, to the moon? Why does silver have to follow? Especially if there are two very different metals that have different industrial uses. Why does it have to follow?
That's exactly right. In fact, it doesn't. In fact, it shouldn't. That's the beauty of the natural market. And people say, well, yeah, silver's undervalued because it's mined out of the ground at a ratio of 7 to 1. Well, platinum is about 15 times more rare than gold, and it trades at 3.46 times to gold. So the gold to platinum ratio is 3.46 right now. So explain that one. Is platinum's price suppressed too? No, it's just the way but it's mostly an industrial commodity. But people, it's very personal with silver because silver is a very personal metal. They call it the people's metal, or the gold. It's what is the saying? Gold is the money of kings. Silver is the money of gentlemen. Debt is the money of slaves.
Yeah.
And we're all gentlemen. Well, gentle ladies too. We'll put them all together. By the way, that's a really cool piece you've got there.
Yeah, I poured this. That's
Nice.
silver.
Wow. You did that little like what Scottsdale did with their tombstones. That is awesome.
So, it's funny that you mentioned that because I see all these things that people make and out of silver. And that when I started pouring silver, I started like looking at their pieces and learning immediately how they did it just by getting involved a little bit and pouring and stuff. I could be like, "Oh, I know exactly how Scottsdale does their tombstones now." You know what I mean? Like
That's awesome.
I started learning and it's just so neat. I got all kinds of pieces that I poured, so
Wow. Look
tone
at the
that one out.
toning on that. Yeah. Wow. That is cool.
It's totally off topic again.
Yeah, no, I saw you hold it there. I had to mention it. It just looked so cool. That's neat.
Here's one more question. Okay, so silver is, doing gold is doing tremendous things. What would happen if all of a sudden things started crashing, right? If almost overnight gold drops $500 to $700, silver follows suit $5 to $7 down. What starts happening, you think, to some of the businesses out there that are sellers or buyers of silver and gold?
Well, if they hedge, and most bullion dealers and to a lesser extent, local coin shops hedge in their own way, but if they hedge, they're going to be fine. Um, they're going to be just fine because they're protected on with since it's like kind of an insurance policy against those rapid moves. How local coin shops do it is they sell to refiners, and they're able to do that by moving metal during massive movements in the price one way or another. So I think that most places would be okay if it had a dramatic fall in price. In fact, my guess is based off of the volume of sales, there would be a splurge, a rush to buy, at least for a while, if there's a massive drop in the price. There's going to be enough people that will do that, just as there's people that are rushing to buy now for fear that it's going to go even higher. So it shifts a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, I don't know how often you go to coin shops. I'm in there like a nerd all the time. I stand around chit-chatting with the owners. I do business, whatever the case may be. I've noticed right now people are unloading gold like crazy. They're selling like crazy. You see little old ladies open up their little, purse and they've got like a few gold coins and they're walking out with $20,000, you know what I mean? Just like that. I see people unloading on this gold. So I just wonder how long can that happen, and keep these prices? Is our stack of physical gold affecting this price at all?
I don't think that the average person selling to a local coin shop is having that much of an impact. And I'll tell you why, because for every person coming in and selling, there are many whales that are starting to form that are gobbling it up big time. They're buying a whole heck of a lot of it. And I talked to a couple of bigger dealers that are seeing large monster boxes, tubes of eagles, gold eagles, and kilo-sized bars that are moving out very quickly. So it's a back and forth. My local coin shop, one of the local coin shops I go visit, said they're seeing one day there's a heavy buying, the next day there's heavy selling. It's as erratic as the trying to keep up with tariff policy right now.
Yeah. One day I'd like to do like a little interview with the refiners. That'd be kind
Yeah,
of thing to talk about.
that would be cool.
Well, Sal, listen, the metals experience, once again, we bring it back. I'm very thankful to you, to give me this time right here. You guys and gals have to check out Salivate Metal. Great channel, does a lot of news, posts every single day. This guy doesn't sleep. I don't know how he does it, but so much information, pillar of the community. Definitely deserves that 100,000 subscriber mark. So help him get those subscribers. And I'll put information again in the description right there so you can check out Sal. But Sal, anything on the closing?
Well, no, I just wanted to thank you and all the viewers of the Spectacular channel. You're at the right place because Spectacular puts out great content. He is foundational and really started the interactions with the local coin shops. This channel you're watching right now is where it all began in that regard, and everybody else who has done it. And there's some great people out there, but they all got the idea from him. And but it's not just that, but also a lot of great content on this channel that Speg has with regards to stacking, with regards to collectibles, and appreciation for coins and history. And so we all have our own little niche within this community, our own little style. And so thank you, Speg, for your channel and for what you do. And you deserve that 100,000 subscribers as well. And you're getting pretty close. How far away are you?
I think I'm right. I think we're neck and neck, brother. We're neck
Oh,
and neck.
nice. So you'll probably get it before I will. Look at that, the Speg standard. Nice. Sweet home, Pennsylvania. That's sweet.
What?
Nice.
I just seen your own personalized round over there, which I love, by the way. You have such a great round. And Talio did that for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they did
And
a
who
good
did that
job.
for you?
This was Bex, BEX.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Nice.
fun stuff for the community, right? We can talk and stuff and chit chat, and we can offer little pieces, to kind of commemorate the moment. It's
Yes.
fun. It's fun, Sal. It's fun
Exactly.
building
Sure.
the community and being a part of it for sure.
It is. And I appreciate you, sir. And I'm honored that you'd have me on again and the metals experience. Yes,
Well,
indeed.
let's do it again. Don't be a stranger, you hear?
Will do. All right. Thank you, sir.
Sal, thank you again. Everybody, make sure you follow Sal. Again, information in the description. Just give that a click and give him a follow. I guarantee it's worth your time. All right, he's a great dude. All right, everybody, appreciate you for watching Spegtacular and Salivate Metal for the metals
I
experience.
seek to
We're out.
educate and entertain through my journey of collecting coins and stacking precious metals. I encourage you to subscribe and please stay with me on this journey. I am Spegtacular, the Silver Stacular. You know, when I was a kid, we did this every day in school, and I believe we need to bring this back a little bit, and I'm going to start right now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.